In the humid summer of 2013, in Viramgam, Gujarat, India, 21-year-old Palak Patel stood at the edge of a life-altering decision. Her family had arranged her marriage to Bhadresh Kumar Chetanbhai Patel, a 24-year-old man with a quiet demeanor and ambitions that stretched toward the promise of America. Their union was no love story born of stolen glances or whispered promises. It was a contract, a tradition rooted in the expectations of family and culture. But beneath the surface of this arranged marriage, a tension simmered, a tension born of a subtle age gap, clashing dreams, and the weight of societal pressures. By April 2015, that tension would explode in a Dunkin' Donuts in Hanover, Maryland, leaving Palak dead and Bhadresh Kumar a fugitive on the FBI's most wanted list. Palak was a young woman with a heart full of dreams, though they were often overshadowed by duty. Raised in a close-knit family, she was taught that marriage was a sacred bond, a partnership where love could grow over time. Her parents saw Bhadresh Kumar as a stable choice, a man from their community, with a visa to America and a determination to succeed. At 24, Bhadresh Kumar carried himself with the confidence of someone ready to conquer the world. He dreamed of a life beyond the dusty streets of Gujarat, a life of prosperity and respect in the land of opportunity. The 3-year age gap between them seemed minor, but it was a chasm in their perspectives. Palak was still finding herself, her youth a canvas of possibilities. Bhadresh Kumar, older and more rigid, saw himself as the architect of their future, his pride a cornerstone of his identity. Their wedding in November 2013 was a celebration steeped in tradition. Bright saris, garlands of marigolds, and the blessings of elders. But for Palak, there was a flicker of unease. She felt the weight of her new role as a wife, a role that demanded obedience and sacrifice. Bhadresh Kumar, meanwhile, saw the marriage as a stepping stone, a partnership that would anchor his ambitions. The cultural expectation to uphold their union was immense, particularly for Palak, who was raised to prioritize family honor over personal desires. Divorce was unthinkable, a scandal that could tarnish their reputation. Yet, as they prepared to leave for America, Palak's heart whispered of home, of the freedom she hadn't yet tasted. In September 2014, the couple arrived in Newark, New Jersey, on a visitor's visa meant for a 16-day stay. Bhadresh Kumar's mother welcomed them, her pride in her son palpable. For her, Palak was the dutiful daughter-in-law who would complete their family's American dream. But Palak felt like a stranger in this new land, her homesickness a constant ache. The skyscrapers, the endless highways, the unfamiliar faces. It was all overwhelming. Bhadresh Kumar, however, was energized. He saw America as a canvas for his ambitions, a place where he could build a legacy. The decision to stay beyond their visa's expiration in March 2015 was his, a choice Palak accepted with quiet resignation. The expired visa became a chain, binding them to a life that felt increasingly like a trap. Their move to Hanover, Maryland was driven by opportunity. A relative owned a Dunkin' Donuts on Arundel Mills Boulevard, a bustling franchise that needed workers. The couple took jobs there, working the night shift in a fluorescent-lit world of coffee and donuts. For Bhadresh Kumar, it was a foothold, a chance to prove himself. For Palak, it was a grind. Her nights spent serving strangers while her heart longed for India. The age gap widened here, not in years but in desires. Bhadresh Kumar, at 24, was focused on permanence, on building a life in America. Palak, at 21, felt trapped, her youth a reminder of the freedom she was losing. Their shared apartment, cramped and shared with Bhadresh Kumar's cousin, became a pressure cooker, their arguments sharp and frequent. Palak's family sensed her distress. Her aunt, Arun, later recalled a phone call in December 2014, when police were called to their apartment for a noise complaint. No violence was reported, but the incident hinted at the strain in their marriage. Palak's desire to return to India grew stronger, her conversations with her parents laced with longing. In March 2015, her parents visited, hoping to bridge the gap between their daughter and her husband. They saw the exhaustion in her eyes, the way she hesitated when speaking of Bhadresh Kumar. But cultural norms urged her to stay, to work through the difficulties, to honor the marriage. For Bhadresh Kumar, Palak's wish to leave was a personal betrayal, a challenge to his authority as a husband. The stage was set for a tragedy that would shock a community and leave a family shattered. But what Palak said on the phone that fateful night would change everything. Stay tuned, dear viewer, for the next chapter, where a single moment ignites a deadly rage. And if this story grips you, hit that like button, share it with your friends, leave a comment, and subscribe to my channel for more true crime stories that unravel the darkest corners of the human heart. April 12th, 2015 began like any other night at the Dunkin' Donuts on Arundel Mills Boulevard. The store was busy, the drive-thru humming with late-night orders. Palak Patel, 21, moved through her tasks with quiet efficiency, her mind heavy with thoughts of home. Bhadresh Kumar Patel, 24, worked beside her, his face a mask of focus. To customers, they were just another couple, unremarkable in their aprons and visors. But beneath the surface, a storm was brewing, its catalyst a phone call Palak had made earlier that evening. A call that Bhadresh Kumar overheard, its words a spark to his smoldering rage. Palak had spoken to her family in India. Her voice was soft but urgent. She wanted to return home, to leave Bhadresh Kumar, to escape the marriage that felt like a prison. Her words were a plea for freedom, a cry for a life she could call her own. But for Bhadresh Kumar, they were a betrayal, a direct challenge to his authority and pride. The age gap, once a subtle divide, now loomed large. Palak's youth gave her the courage to dream of escape, while Bhadresh Kumar's slightly older perspective saw her desire as an affront to his role as husband. His anger, long simmering, reached a boiling point, its heat masked by the routine of their night shift. The surveillance cameras, ever watchful, captured the moment the couple walked toward the kitchen at 9:32 p.m. It was a routine movement, one they'd made countless times. They disappeared behind a rack of supplies, the cameras unable to follow. What happened next was a horror that would haunt investigators for years. Bhadresh Kumar, consumed by rage, attacked Palak with a large kitchen knife. He stabbed and beat her with a ferocity that left no room for mercy. Palak, caught off guard, had no chance to fight back. Her body, found later that night, bore the marks of a brutal assault, multiple stab wounds and blunt force trauma, a testament to the violence that had taken her life. The kitchen, a place of mundane tasks, became a crime scene, its sterility mocked by the blood on the floor. Bhadresh Kumar's actions after the murder were chilling in their calm. He emerged from the kitchen, his clothes remarkably free of blood, his demeanor unshaken. The surveillance footage showed him stumbling slightly, catching his balance, then walking out of frame. He turned off an oven, a mundane act that belied the horror he had just committed. He left the store through a rear door, walking the short distance to their apartment. There, he changed clothes, gathered his passport and cash, and hired a cab to a Best Western near Newark International Airport, his movements deliberate and calculated. The discovery of Palak's body was a moment of grim reality. Customers, growing impatient when no one appeared to serve them, alerted a nearby police officer stationed just 100 yards away. The officer entered the store and found Palak in the kitchen, her body a stark reminder of the violence that had unfolded. The surveillance footage reviewed soon after unmasked Bhadresh Kumar as the killer, his calm exit a stark contrast to the chaos he left behind. But by the time the police identified him, he had a 1-hour head start, a gap that would prove insurmountable. The Anne Arundel County Police were stunned by the brutality of the crime. Palak, described by co-workers as kind and hard-working, was a victim of a rage they could barely comprehend. The motive, investigators believe, was rooted in the couple's fractured marriage. Palak's desire to leave, expressed in that final phone call, was a wound to Bhadresh Kumar's pride, a rejection he could not accept. In their culture, a wife's departure was a public humiliation, a failure that would haunt him. His rage, fueled by the age gap and the pressures of their arranged marriage, erupted in a moment of deadly violence. But where did Bhadresh Kumar go? And how has he evaded justice for a decade? The next chapter will take you into the heart of the manhunt, where a fugitive's trail grows cold. The night of April 12, 2015, marked the beginning of a manhunt that would span continents and defy resolution. Bhadresh Kumar Chetanbhai Patel, now a murderer, slipped into the shadows of Newark, New Jersey, his trail as elusive as a ghost. The cab driver who drove him to a Best Western near Newark International Airport described a man who seemed calm and unremarkable, his demeanor hiding the blood on his hands. Bhadresh Kumar checked into the hotel with cash, his face captured by surveillance cameras, a fleeting image of a man on the run. By morning, he was gone, taking the hotel's shuttle to Newark Penn Station, where he vanished into the vast network of America's transit system. The Anne Arundel County Police, reeling from the brutality of Palak's murder, launched an immediate investigation. Bhadresh Kumar was charged with first- and second-degree murder, assault, and weapons offenses, his name a stain on the community he had called home. The FBI, recognizing the case's international scope, issued a federal arrest warrant for unlawful flight to avoid prosecution. Bhadresh Kumar's expired visa, set to lapse in March 2015, made legal departure unlikely, but his connections in Canada, India, and several U.S. states opened a web of possibilities. He was a phantom, a man whose ordinariness made him nearly impossible to track. The investigation revealed a chilling portrait of calculation. Bhadresh Kumar's actions after the murder, returning to the apartment, changing clothes, securing transport, suggested a mind unburdened by remorse. FBI Special Agent Jonathan Schaffer described him as having an everyman appearance, his common last name and unremarkable features blending into any crowd. Posters bearing his image were printed in English, Hindi, Gujarati, Marathi, and French, circulated in regions where he might hide. The FBI's Delhi office worked with Indian authorities, tracking his known associates, but Bhadresh Kumar remained elusive. his trail a series of dead ends. Theories about his whereabouts proliferated. Some believed he had fled to Canada, where he had relatives, or back to India, slipping through the cracks of an overburdened system. Others speculated he was hiding in plain sight, perhaps in New Jersey, Kentucky, Georgia, or Illinois, where he had connections. The expired visa was a double-edged sword. It limited his legal options but made him harder to trace, a man without a paper trail. The FBI's reward, initially $20,000, grew to $100,000 by 2017 and $250,000 by 2024, a testament to their determination. Yet, as of April 2025, Bhadresh Kumar remains at large, his name etched on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list. Palak's family, grieving in India, became a focal point of the investigation. Her last conversation, overheard by Bhadresh Kumar, was a key to understanding his motive. She had spoken of returning home, of leaving him, her words a dagger to his pride. In their culture, a wife's departure was a public humiliation, a fracture in the sacred bond of marriage. Bhadresh Kumar's rage, investigators believe, was fueled by this perceived betrayal, his control slipping as Palak's independence grew. The age gap, once a minor detail, now loomed as a chasm. Her youth, a reminder of the freedom he could not grant. The Hanover community was shaken, and their sense of safety was shattered. Regulars at the Dunkin' Donuts, like Idrissa Woori, spoke of the couple's kindness, their shock, a chorus of disbelief. The store, once a place of routine, became a grim landmark, its kitchen a silent witness to a tragedy no one could have foreseen. The investigation, exhaustive but fruitless, left investigators frustrated, their leads drying up like a river in drought. Bhadresh Kumar's ability to vanish, to blend into the world, was a dark skill that defied their efforts. But what drove Bhadresh Kumar to such violence, and what does it reveal about the pressures of their marriage? The murder of Palak Patel was not just a crime. It was the culmination of a marriage strained by cultural expectations, personal pride, and the subtle but powerful divide of an age gap. Palak and Bhadresh Kumar's arranged marriage, forged in the traditions of their Gujarat community, was meant to be a partnership, a union that would carry them into a prosperous future. But by April 2015, it was a battlefield. Its wounds deepened by their clashing desires and the pressures of a life far from home. To understand the Dunkin' Donuts murder, we must explore the emotional dynamics that led to that fateful night, unraveling the threads of love, control, and betrayal. Palak was 21, her life a canvas of unrealized dreams. Her youth gave her a restlessness, a desire to break free from the roles that defined her. She was raised to value family and to see marriage as a sacred bond. But her heart yearned for more, a life where she could choose her own path. Bhadresh Kumar, at 24, was her opposite. His slightly older perspective was rooted in ambition and pride, his identity tied to his role as husband and provider. The age gap, though small, amplified their differences. Palak saw marriage as a partnership. Bhadresh Kumar saw it as a hierarchy, with himself at the helm. Their arranged marriage was a product of their culture, a practice where families prioritize compatibility over romance. Palak's parents saw Bhadresh Kumar as a stable match, a man with prospects in America. Bhadresh Kumar's family saw Palak as a dutiful wife, a partner who would support their son's dreams. But love in such arrangements is often a seed that needs time to grow. For Palak and Bhadresh Kumar, that seed struggled in the rocky soil of their differences. Palak's youth made her question the life she was living. Bhadresh Kumar's pride made him demand her loyalty, his control tightening as her resistance grew. In America, the pressures of their marriage intensified. The expired visa, the cramped apartment, the grueling night shifts at Dunkin' Donuts, all were weights on Palak's spirit. She felt trapped, her youth a reminder of the freedom she was losing. Bhadresh Kumar, meanwhile, saw every challenge as a test of his resolve. His pride, rooted in his role as provider, made Palak's desire to leave a personal affront. Her phone calls to India, where she spoke of returning home, were a challenge to his authority, a wound to his honor that he could not bear. The cultural expectation to maintain their marriage was a heavy burden. For Palak, divorce was a distant dream, its stigma a barrier she could not cross. Her family, though loving, urged her to stay, to work through the strain, to honor the vow she had made. For Bhadresh Kumar, the pressure was even greater. A failed marriage would bring shame, a public admission of his inadequacy. His control over Palak, subtle at first, grew tighter, his anger a storm waiting to break. The age gap, once a minor detail, became a chasm. Her youth, a reminder of the freedom he could not grant. The motive for the murder, investigators believe, was rooted in this dynamic. Palak's final phone call, where she spoke of leaving, was the spark that ignited Bhadresh Kumar's rage. Her words, overheard in the quiet of the Dunkin' Donuts, were a challenge to his authority, a threat to his carefully constructed world. In that moment, pride trumped reason, and control trumped love. The kitchen knife, a tool of their trade, became a weapon of betrayal, its blade cutting through the fragile threads of their bond. But what does this tragedy teach us about love, trust, and the pressures that break us? The Dunkin' Donuts murder is a tragedy that lingers, a story of love undone by pride, control, and the pressures of an age-gap marriage. Palak Patel, just 21, was a young woman whose dreams were silenced in a moment of brutal violence. Bhadresh Kumar Patel, 24, her husband and killer, remains a fugitive as of April 2025. His shadow etched on the FBI's 10 most wanted fugitives list. Their story is a mirror, reflecting the dangers of unchecked power, the fragility of trust, and the cost of silencing a heart's truth. The age gap, the arranged marriage, the cultural pressures, all were threads in the tapestry of this tragedy. Palak's youth was her strength, but also her vulnerability, her desire for freedom clashing with the expectations that bound her. Bhadresh Kumar's pride was his downfall. His need for control was a force that consumed them both. Their story asks us to reflect on love, not the idealized love of romance, but the real love of partnership, where trust is earned, not demanded, and where freedom is the truest gift. What can we learn from this true crime story? That love without respect is a trap, not a bond. That control, disguised as care, is a poison that destroys. That trust, once broken, leaves wounds that time cannot heal. Palak's voice, silenced too soon, reminds us to listen, to honor the dreams of those we love, and to choose compassion over pride. And Bhadresh Kumar's flight, unending as of now, warns us that justice, though slow, is relentless, its scales waiting to balance the wrongs of the past. So, dear viewer, what do you take from this story? Share your thoughts in the comments, like this video, share it with those who love a story that lingers, and subscribe to my channel for more true crime stories that unraveled the mysteries of the heart in age-gap marriage and relationship. Let Palak's story be a light in the darkness, a call to love wisely, to trust deeply, and to never let pride write the final chapter.